Hello, everybody, and welcome to our last semifinals match here in United Rogue Overwatch. This is going to be our Ruby semifinal match between the Washington Rebellion and the Ottawa Savage. I am /Ajax, and joined with me, I have Helios, and
Hello.
Honestly, very excited for this match.
Yeah, I mean, these teams are some of the best teams this season. War did have a little bit of a worse latter end of the season, but they were very oppressive in those earlier weeks. And Ottawa has just been very oppressive throughout, so this is going to be a very interesting match.
I think ultimately what's going to come down to is a clash of styles. We've seen Ottawa run this kind of dive with obviously Adbon being on the Widow, and War has shown a couple different looks, some a little bit more successful than others. And so with this clash of styles, I am curious to see if War can learn from their mistakes, if Washington can kind of revamp their play style while keeping what worked in order to overcome this hurdle.
And we are going to see an Ana ban out of War, but in response, Ottawa is going to ban Winston.
I think that hurts. The Ana ban is a direct target against Ottawa. Or the Ana ban is a direct target against Ottawa. Recon has played the Ana basically all season, every chance he can get. The Monkey ban, Mountain plays some Monkey, but I don't think that's necessarily one of his first characters, especially going up with Ilios. So I think that this ban might have been a little bit better on the side of War, because now you're going to expect Recon to come out on the Moira. You already have an idea of what that's going to run. But now for Ottawa, if you look against it, you probably have an idea, considering some of these guys have some mainstays, but I think it's just a little bit better on the side of War.
I will say, Mountain does play a lot of Winston in his free time, and Ilios is a very dive-centric map, and both Ana and Winston make a lot of sense to ban on Ilios, specifically Lighthouse. So I think it's also really dependent on which sub-map we go to first.
I am going to make a bold call and say that if Well comes out, we will see at least one Roadhog. I think that is in the pockets for both of these tank players. And if not, I think Vanguard might do it one time for a meme. But I would expect a Hog if we see a Well. We are going to see a Well, but we're also going to start loading into map 1 Ilios. And now I want to see the Hog now, because here's the Well. So I want to see at least one.
Yeah. I mean, I think Roadhog and Well kind of go well together. The giant death pit in the middle of the point is certainly... But we are going to see Ball versus Hazard.
I don't think that stays. I think so far, if you look at Ottawa rosters, I think Ottawa's roster is a definite stay point. However, I think Wars, if anything, maybe the tank changes. I don't think I've seen Mountain play Ball, but we are sticking it so far. Seconds counting down before the match starts, and we are going to get Ilios underway with Well. Mountain is going to stick the ball.
But yeah, Mountain does play not a lot of Ball, but his Ball, he does play it sometimes. But I do think the Ball is a little bit stronger on Well, because Hazard struggles to go long distances. But if you go into a small room, it's really advantageous for him.
It really didn't matter there, because Mountain was playing Ball, going maybe for looking for 1-2 people, but the entirety of Otto was already clustered up on the left side, that when War started pushing in, it was too late. Vanguard found a mark, found out Liam, took him out. This is going to be percentage building up for Ottawa now.
You might also want to
swap over to the Freak as well.
Yes. You might also want to consider swapping off of Juno here. Juno Zen is just super diveable if you're Hazard. So you probably want to switch off the Juno into something that can peel a little bit more for your Zenyatta.
I think that the biggest issue so far is going to be, well, there's going to be JS gone, Shogun finding one. But I think your big issue here is you have such a studded roster. Adbon going to find Kieran that for Washington, it's hard to figure out what target you need to go through because everybody else is a threat. Adbon going to help clean up on Mountain. The rest of War going to try and back off. 45% already under wraps for Ottawa. But Liam's going to find Stitch.
And Vanguard is already 90% to his ult, with the rest of Ottawa closely following.
Vanguard's going to get more percentage as he takes out Kieran. Pineapple wins the Cassidy showdown, but Vanguard's still finding 2 more. The man got 3. Give him the 4th. It is an absolute upset. He probably won't get the 5th here because I think Mountain will be dealt with by the supports.
Yeah. I think you needed to use Trank. Oh!
Ooh,
and Puzzler gets
Adbon's
kicked out of spawn.
That is going to be unfortunate, as now there is 20 seconds left. There are no ultimates other than Trank coming up. We've got a couple, on the brink, but right now it's going to be a hard comeback for War to see if they can take this point on well. Liam's already down. Vanguard knows who the carry on this team is and is finding him fast in these fights. Vanguard's now looking to rip up the rest.
That's a huge wall. I mean, a lot of
big.
Yeah, a lot of War is literally losing an ult charge to point percentage.
Oof. Shogun pulling at the high noon, not getting much. Kieran's gonna find one. There's gonna be
are gonna see the Ray.
I don't think you necessarily needed that. However, it is gonna force Ottawa to back up slightly. They're gonna find Shogun for it.
I don't
think
think
lose Pineapple. And now here comes the Coalescence.
I didn't think. And that Trank is just a little too late.
Mountain's going down means that Ottawa have kind of a free push here as they're going to look
and
to
Stitch
take
gets
out.
traded with Rush too.
Liam's going to go down, and I think Kieran's probably not going to make it long.
I think Kieran is dead too.
Now, the rain down from Mountain was kind of good at Cotton too. Are they going to be able to keep this up? The overclock also invested, not finding any kills, but doing enough damage and enough to scare the rest of Ottawa out. And so with a couple ultimates, they're going to hold on. Liam swapping over to Lucio, probably to touch, but now that they won the fight, he's going to have to stick it.
Yeah, and we are approaching that 50% mark if you're War. And you have to know at this point that Stitch has Rush.
Ooh.
How are they going to use it? Preferably, and they're going to use it aggressively.
Stitch is going to go down. There's a support
Stitch
down
gets
for each.
Immediately traded.
Oh, Pineapple's off the map. He fell, but the suck orb was too strong anyway. Here comes another Deadeye from Shogun, trying to zone everybody out. Mountain is still in the cluster of Ottawa. I don't think he's going to make it. So now you have 3 members of Washington trying to fight against the point.
And they're all on the windmill. Kieran tries to touch, but gets immediately killed, and so does Liam, and that just destroys all hope for a recontest.
Honestly, a little closer than I thought it was, especially considering it was picking up 99-0 for a little bit. Getting up to 70, I think, is a little bit better than what we thought. They're gonna have to put it together now, as we are going to head into Ruins. Ooh, Adbon might have a little bit of a better time on this map.
This is the map you didn't want if you're War.
But losing that first map means that you're gonna have to play this point regardless. So now it's just a matter of can they shut down Adbon before he gets too much value. Also, I think something to note, Vanguard versus Mountain. Vanguard, a acclaimed tank player. Mountain's first time in this league. Vanguard is letting him know who, the resident tank king is right now. And I think that's getting felt. I think a lot of these fights are getting won off Vanguard knowing who to go for, having the team gather and execute a perfect plan to get rid of either Liam or Pineapple. So far, those two have been the main priorities.
I do think
on Mega.
I do think if you're War, I think you needed to play into the enclosed lane and not so much the coast lane. It blocks more LOS from Adbon, and it's just, yes, it is harder to fight against a Hazard, but you're also playing Zenyatta. So the Hazard should blow up in a small room anyway.
That is if you're able to get it done. Adbon having free reign on these sight lines while the rest of War is trying to figure out how to get around them. Vanguard holding up close, going to back up to point a little bit. Shogun's going to go down. Pineapple again winning off that Cassie fight. Mountain going in a little bit too deep as now Vanguard is on the back of his team. Are they going to be able to punish him for it?
And Liam gets caught with the Venom Mine. Adbon knows that he's going to peek that. And Liam gets executed.
A 4v5 now in favor of Ottawa as Vanguard continues to go in, but I think he's going to go down. A miss Suzu. Yeah. This is now a 4v4. Can somebody find Adbon before he gets another pick? Deadeye's coming out. He's going to find Kieran.
But that's wasted walls, too.
The walls I don't think are going to be important as much because you should be able to clean up Mountain here. I don't think you necessarily need walls a whole lot. Maybe just to kind of secure the fight. But with 3 members left, now 4 Kieran's coming out of spawn. Ottawa is going to get so much free space as War is going to have to wait for the tank to come back.
Yeah, I mean, the only ults, I mean, War have 4 ults compared to 3, maybe 1 on the side of Ottawa. So you do have an ult advantage, but Trank is going to be used a little earlier.
Aggressive. They want to be aggressive. They want to take space. There's going to be a dual rush. Pineapple's getting absolutely phased out. High Noon's going to go out. It's going to do a decent damage, but
that's also bomb. And that's every ult if you're War besides Overclock. That was
Here's
a
massive
massive
one.
investment.
Pineapple and Liam, 3 dead members, 4 dead members on the side of Ottawa. And just like last round, Ottawa's going to take it to almost 100 and give it away at the last second. Let's see if Ottawa can now take advantage of Mountain being so far up.
However, Adbon does get super staggered. I mean, a Widow stagger.
Now Recon.
Yeah, and Mountain gets demeched.
There it is. Now the Deadeye's going to turn around the corner. Is Shogun going to be able to find anything?
Kieran was on that off angle, but as soon as Adbon spotted Kieran, immediately went off that off angle.
Vanguard already found 2.
Yeah, perfect Suzu as well. Yeah,
seems like Vanguard continues to just assert dominance in these fights. He knows where everybody is going to play. Pineapple still making it hard for Ottawa as he's going to find one. Jay is going to find one. Hold on. Now we have a ball from Mountain, and it seems like what started as a lost fight is now going to turn into Washington stabilizing.
Yeah, I mean, that's a miracle stabilization. You go from being down Diva to just winning the fight. That's a miracle. And you have ults as well.
They're looking to take out Stitch, who is half up on the high ground, but unfortunately nothing can be found. Mountain just trying to cause some havoc and look for Adbon. Here comes
Adbon, but Adbon gonna get the Suzu. That is very much. Oh wow, that spam almost killed him.
It's gonna find Pineapple. Is the rain down, and Pineapple's gonna go down because of it. Deadeye from Shogun's gonna find nothing. Dual. Oh my God, dual foxes. Every ultimate on the board is coming up.
Do we think they found the Q button?
I think so, but so far Ottawa is finding the kills. Liam looks like he's on death's door, and now it is just up to Mountain to stall as long as he can. Maybe Pineapple can pull out a hero Deadeye. Okay, never mind.
And that's just tragic. And map 1 goes to Ottawa.
Really unfortunate timing considering it flipped and Mountain just was not able to get that touch. However, I think this shows this is a closer match than I think some people were theorizing. This matchup last time it happened went 3-0 and it went into Ottawa's favor. And I don't think it was as close so far as this map won.
No.
I think so far this is a better showing on Washington, but now it is going to have to be their map pick and their hero ban. With control out of the way, we have some options.
You can't go to escort. It's just a simple fact. You just can't. Every escort map besides maybe Root, and even that's a stretch, is a Widow map. To beat Ottawa, you have to force them onto Widow into uncomfortable situations. Yes, Adbon is going to find a lot of value off of that Widow no matter what, but if you can minimize his value based purely off map geometry, I think that will help.
I think a big thing to consider too is if you're expecting this to be that close, I think you have to kind of play a little bit of offense and defense with these map picks. So, not picking an escort has its advantages of, Adbon will get his sight lines and Vanguard will make the space he needs. However, if you know you need to go the distance, you might want to think about getting it out of the way early so you don't have to do it. Maybe you pick one of the not common ones.
Root, I think.
Root, I think, has been played like 0 times.
Yeah, I don't think it's been played a single time.
Let's see. Root's not even been picked in. Oh no, it got picked one time in Emerald. Nice. Root has never been played in Ruby. Obviously Jibby being up there and then Havana being next. Rialto also a very low pick rate in Ruby. However, I think that's one of the better maps for Widow. So I don't think you necessarily go there.
I don't think you go to Jibby or Havana.
I think if you had to pick that escort map, you would then swing over to Route 66.
I think if you're going to go to escort, but they are going to go to Runasapi.
Getting the push up. Now we're going to see if they want to make any subs. I think that they're going to wait to put in Spaznik. Spaznik is the big Zen one trick that they like to throw in on some of these map 3s. Yup, seems so far like we're going to stick with these two rosters we've seen last map. Now it's going to be on to Washington for the first banned character. Last time they banned Ana. Now Recon's going to be a little bit more comfortable playing that, and they're going to ban Hazard.
I don't really like Runasapi all that much, but Hazard in general, very strong hero. Vanguard had a very strong showing on Hazard. I think this makes a lot of sense for a target ban, and it forces Vanguard into some of the other heroes in his hero pool.
Yeah, I think that's where the mistake was made, because if you look at Mountain's hero pool, I think, Liam doesn't get to play the Zen. I think if you look at this tank matchup, which is one that we keep referring to, Mountain has to get the favored matchup and has to do well on it, because Vanguard can play pretty much any tank at a high level. Typically, Hazard is one he will pull out if he wants to on a whim. It's not one that he's, a diehard fan of. It's a comfort pick. That would be your Sigma. That would be your Zarya. We've seen that man cook 1,000 times over. So banning the Hazard, which I think is one of Mountain's stronger picks, I think you end up losing the value that you were really looking for on this ban. And now Ottawa then gets the Zen ban as well. Liam, very similar to Vanguard, has the ability to swap over and play any support at a high enough level, but the clear comfort pick and the big reason for a lot of War's success has been on the back of the Zen.
The Zen Juno is really War's bread and butter here. Slessor has that comfort pick in the Juno, but Slessor can also play a lot of other heroes as well. Same with Liam. So you can't really ban a support against War because they can just play every support.
They will be able to have that flex. So far, we are looking at a map 1 win for Ottawa. Map 2 is Runasapi. I think, especially with the bans, Ottawa is still favored, but we'll have to see what comps people are running out on in this map.
I also think War should have gone to New Queen Street instead. Mainly because that is a really good dive map. Specifically for Wrecking Ball. Not as great as for Winston, but if Mountain wants to play that ball, I think they should have gone to New Queen Street if they were going to play push.
I don't necessarily think that they have practiced. I mean, I could be fully wrong. I don't think they've practiced the ball strat, especially even, recent scrims or anything. So I think that's a newer concept that they wanted to maybe try and flex out. But we are going to see both rosters rolling out on pretty much what you would expect from everybody. Mountain going to rock the Ram into Vanguard Sig. Like I said earlier, that's going to be a big comfort pick for Vanguard. Adbon's already setting up for his sight lines. Let's see how both teams fight it over on the bot.
Yeah, I mean, War get here first, but mainly because they do have that Juno Hyper Ring, and Shogun is getting a lot of early poke
Liam is going to have to use Suzu early because Vanguard has already marked him, and that's what he's been doing every fight so far. Find Liam, find the carry, take him out.
Wow, and Swezzer gets picked really early by Stitch, and Stitch just going unpunished.
Mount's only find one.
Only 2 survivors. Actually, there are none. Yeah, they just collapsed.
This is a great example of how Ottawa can really change up the game. They are able to have Adbon on this flank. They also send Stitch on a flank a lot of times as well. So now you're getting kind of poked and pinched out from 3 different angles. And
you're getting poked by the Cass, Ana, Widow, Kiri, and then the Sig as well. All from different angles, and you can't engage on any of them because they'll just shoot you in the back.
Mountain looking at Adbon like he wants to go on him, but he can't because of the rest of Ottawa. Going to have to heal up Mountain. Bubbles use walls up. Miss Nade is going to be doing not much. Hands are out early from Vanguard. He's going to have to back up a little bit, but Mountain is going to go down to the Cassidy. And now Vanguard's looking to find more kills in Ottawa's arsenal. A missed rock doesn't matter because Vanguard's going to find Pineapple. Deadeye for, I don't think a quick reload, but just to send it out there and send a message that Ottawa is still chugging along.
Yeah, I mean, they even knew Adbon was on that flank, but they couldn't do anything about it.
Already forward spawns are up, and already Adbon's going to pop sights. Stitch and Adbon on this flank. Mountain seemingly going in by himself. JS looking to come in, but a Nano Cowboy and a Flux are going to find war when they least expect it.
Liam,
3 dead, 4 dead.
Was insane in the backline off of that flank. Mountain knew of the Curie, but did not know of the spider that slipped under his finger.
We're at 80% already for Ottawa. Stepping off the bot for a brief second. Mountain going to switch over to a Zarya, and I think that might help them a little bit more. Pineapple also over onto the Soj. Not helping Pineapple much.
So punished.
JS already running low. Needs to not go down. A Blizzard could be big. They're going to find 1. They're going to find 2. They're going to trade out Jay West, but now they're looking for Recon in the back. Are they going to be able to get the Ana? No, it doesn't appear so. They're going to find Adbon. This should be war winning the first fight of Runasapi for them, and it looks like Recon, rather, is going to make the great escape.
I don't know how they let Recon get out.
You want to focus the 2 people rather than the 1 person there, considering if you let Recon go, you can secure at least the other 2. Because everybody's looking on him versus it was just Mountain looking at Recon. Versus if you want to try to split that focus, now we're going to have the dual rushes. Now we're going to have a Deadeye. Goodbye, Kieran. As soon as you come out of Maywall. All right. Still up. Good supporting done by Liam and Mountain. And they're going to get 2 kills off it. Washington's starting to take some percentage of their own. They're going to have to be careful of Adbon, the last remaining member of Ottawa, who is going to try and slip out.
The back. And yeah. And Vanguard is going to move over to that Zarmir. Maybe a little... still a comfort pick for Vanguard.
Oh, 100%.
But definitely stronger in the Zarmir. Mainly because Sig is very weak to Zar.
This is going to be now a real showing of how tanks have to play. Because Vanguard, we've seen him do it a couple seasons in a row now.
And Liam gets caught.
Ooh, that's not going to... Want to see.
You can't peek when Widow has walls.
The positive for war is while they are all dying, they did manage to get forward spawn. So hopefully JS can not get caught out here and the rest of war can regroup, go back in. They have a couple key ultimates. Mountain, because he swapped over faster, is closer to grab. They are going to have the Blizzard. Hopefully they don't double up there. That's 2 game-winning fights there. But seems like Ottawa is pretty content with just pushing the bot so far. There goes Shogun. Here comes the Ray. Liam's going to go down to a Venomine of all things. And so now you have a trade of 1 support for a DPS. War looking to continue to use this Ray to its benefit, but so far not finding much. And now here comes Ottawa trying to swing back.
And Kieran is going to go for an off angle. Maybe try to Blizzard.
You're going to have to try and keep Mountain up. Yeah. Adbon's still in the back. JS is
wonderful wall.
Big grab's going to take out Vanguard, and I think that's worth. Here comes Sights.
And they're going to solo Blizzard. We are going to Blizzard the support.
Gonna get the supports. All right.
And Adbon just accepting his death, trying to get good spawn with Stitch and Recon.
Gonna catch the wave. Unfortunately, that is expensive on the side of War because they had to use Ray, then they went in with the grab and the Blizzard. So you're really only looking at an overclock rush versus Vanguard's grab. You have Shogun's Deadeye. There's the grab. It's looking good. Asuzu and a wall are gonna push members up. But it doesn't matter because Shogun's still going to find 2 with the Deadeye. And there's his 3rd. Can he get a 4th? I don't think so. Because Liam's going to take out Adbon. The Kirikos are fighting. Suzu's out. Liam does not have the team. Unfortunately, a 1v1 only works if the 1v1 doesn't turn into a 1v3.
Yeah, it's probably not great to have people third partying. Probably not the best, but
it's gonna happen every now and then.
Yeah,
we're gonna see the overclock rush soon on Orbital, but we still have an overclock, or we have a rush Nano on the side of Ottawa.
And Stitch is getting aggressive.
Stitch is known for these flanks now, known for doing lots of damage. Meanwhile, Mountain just trying to hold the front line.
Very. And wow, that Maywall blocked. The Maywall blocked all of the rush.
Pineapple's gonna find one. They're gonna use a questionable Ray, I think, here. Maybe it's used to keep Liam, or Mountain up, rather. Stitch is still alive. They should take them out. And that's gonna be, again, 3 ultimates on the side of Washington versus 1, 2, the support ults.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I mean, you got both Rush, Ray, and Overclock out for a better Rush and a Nano. Yeah.
The only issue here is Washington's about to take the lead. Vanguard's going to look to push up, and with the support of his team, they're going to stop the changeover right now. Deadeye looking to stop this lead.
The High Noon forces so much space. And Pineapple still dies.
There is a grab. There is a Blizzard. It could be winnable. War sends the grab. It's going to find 2. They're going to send a Blizzard as well. They want to secure the kills. They're going to find 2. They're going to trade out Kieran. And now there's both the supports. They need to keep Mountain up in order for him to keep this point going. But there's too much damage up on the face of Ottawa. And the supports from War are going to have to back out 5 meters shy. They wanted the hero plays, unable to capitalize, and now Vanguard's sitting on a grab. This is looking a little dangerous as we have 1 minute left in the time bank.
Yeah, I mean, a grab can just end War's chances of winning this map.
Vanguard needs to hold on to it or get enough value to where the rest of the ults can... There it is. Suzu was used early, teleport used early, and Vanguard knows what it's time for. He's going to go to grab. He's going to find 2.
Adbon is traded by Pineapple in his final moments.
Gonna get his one.
Slaughter. And Stitch is coming up on the rush. Stitch is going to build it faster than Liam is. However, Liam will be able to match the rush if Stitch does not rush immediately.
This is going to be an uphill battle for War because they not only need to win this fight, but in overtime need to win about 2 or 3 more to go with it. Kieran going down early is not going to be something you want to see. Now we're going to have a Nano. We're probably going to have a Deadeye. There's going to find 2. The rush is going to be nothing.
And Ottawa take a mid lead. 2-0. Ooh, it's really dire here for War. I mean, where else do you go to? I think you're just kind of forced into Flashpoint now.
I think you could. Maybe a King's Row could be beneficial for them. We've seen that team do really good things on King's Row before. I think, you're still not really looking at the escort maps. However, you don't have a lot of options left. You are now back against the wall. You need a reverse sweep, or else your season is over.
Yeah, I mean, Ottawa, historically, I think you need to go to a Flashpoint here. Flashpoint is the weakest in general for Ottawa. However, Vanguard does make that a lot harder because Vanguard's comfort pick is Zarya, which is not bad on Flashpoint. So I think it really comes down to how do you shut down Ottawa as a whole, and how do you stop all of those angles from being set up?
This Ottawa team really is reminding me of, I'm going to get the season wrong. I want to say it was maybe season 4, but the New Orleans Curse, when they were rebuilt halfway through the season, we're going to see a Havana map before we get any bans from either team. We had a New Orleans team in Emerald that really rebuilt and rebranded, and they did very similar things to what Ottawa is doing. Going in a macro fight, all split up and taking smaller 1v1s, and ended up getting the better of each of those 1v1s. You have small little pockets continue going in, and with those smaller fights, you're able to win and take up 1 or 2 to a point where now Ottawa's doing a similar strategy. They have a core roster they can play with, but when they need to, Adbon Stitch go off away. Vanguard takes down the main, and you have Recon Shogun go off to the right, or some variations of it. It seems like War, going to have to either win the 1v1s or come up with a different strategy to now collapse on Ottawa. War's also going to ban the Widow.
I mean, the Widow ban makes sense. It's Havana. Widow is historically very good on map on point 1 and 3. Not as much on 2, but still very oppressive on this map overall. Makes a lot of sense. However, Adbon is nerfing himself by playing Widowmaker.
Yeah,
so I'm
you're
not
not going to
sure
get the full
how
Adbon DPS. I don't know.
I'm not sure this was as... I mean, they know that you can't really ban Widow against Ottawa, but you kind of have to, because it's on Havana, right? Adbon will run you if you don't ban Widow.
I think it's it's a play that was made. I think the better play is going to be banning Juno. Ottawa's going to take out Jay Wessler's Juno. This is going to be harder. Vanguard, because Ottawa won the last map, they want to go for defense first. And I think that this is Ottawa's sign being like, we want to now set the game. We want to say, here is the line in the sand where we need to go. And I have a strange feeling that that line in the sand is going to be before the first point.
Yeah, I have a feeling they're going to spawn hold.
I could see it, but I'm not confident with it.
I know War is going to spawn hold on defense. That's going to happen. However, if Ottawa spawn hold, because Adbon is not on the Widow, I think it is going to be a lot more oppressive because Adbon can play his full hero pool.
We've seen Adbon flex over in seasons past. Can he pull it out again to dig the grave for War, or is this War's first attempt at the reverse sweep? We'll have to find out as we are going to get into the map underway here in a second.
Yeah. I mean, I do think that War has a chance. I'm just not sure if going to Havana was the right call.
I think if you sit here and look at it, this is probably from the team as a whole. But if you are down 2-0, you have the typical response of, all right, let's try to pick our next best map, right? You want to play it safe, play what you were best at. There's the ballsy option. You could, like I said earlier, take away one of Ottawa's best tools. And if you make it through this hell, if you make it through this obstacle, your other 2 maps are looking a little bit better for the rest of the series. So this is definitely a map pick where most people didn't see it coming. right? I think most people would be surprised to see this happening. However, I think this is War trying to make some form of final stand and some form of final statement, saying, you know what, if you're gonna beat us, here's what we're gonna put you through. We're gonna get rid of Adbon's Widow, and we're gonna put the escort in now so he can't use it against us later.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, if War win this, you have Flashpoint and Hybrid. Flashpoint, not great for Widow. I'd say New Drink City is unplayable for Widow, and Surafos is borderline unplayable. And then in general, Hybrid, also not great for Widowmaker. However, the Hybrid map pool is Nimbani, Midtown, Kings Row, and Blizzard World. The only one that doesn't really play for Widow is Midtown.
Mm.
And I don't think Midtown has ever been picked.
In Ruby, I don't think it is. Yeah, in Ruby it is not. In Emerald it has been picked one time.
Yeah, I mean, I know Nimbani was picked twice overall this season. The rest, it's just been Kings Row or Blizzard World.
Kings Row has a combined 75% pick rate amongst all teams. Which is almost the highest combined pick rate of any map.
I mean, it's Scrims Row, so...
It's a fan favorite. Everybody knows that at the beginning of the season, we gave the players the option to vote for what maps they wanted to see in the pool. We knew a couple were going to be in there. Ilios and Lijiang, we knew were going to be in there. Jibby was probably going to make it. I think everybody saw Blizzard World, you know, in a different lifetime. Somehow that made it. But the one true staple, the one true map of all time was Kings Row. So we knew it was coming in, and we've seen players get the value they were looking for from it.
Yeah, I mean, Ottawa has historically shown that they are very good on Kings Row. Adbon has found miracle picks through trees. Yeah, Ottawa is very scary in general, so this was always going to be an uphill battle for War. But I think War has done a fantastic job at least showing some life.
So, we are still waiting on Ottawa. They currently, I believe, are on a bio break, which we're gonna have to see. I wonder what the commotion is, so to speak. But oh yeah, okay. It seems like Vanguard's had to leave for a second. Might be back soon, but I think it might be a sub. They might have to do something. Havana is currently still the map choice. This might be, Vanguard takes too long. They have to sub him out. They'll have to put Spaznik in. There's going to be a Zen, right? This might be War's chance to, get back into this.
I mean, you just kind of have to pounce at this opportunity. If Vanguard doesn't make it back in time, yeah, you're right. They are going to have a Zen. Zen is, because of the longer sightlines present on this map, Zen is very strong. However, I mean, your backline ends up being Zen Curie. So, very diveable. But then you put Shogun on tank. And you have to redo bans as well.
See, that's what I think we need to check in the rulebook, because they have already submitted the rosters. They cannot change roster lock, and they've done bans. So then, to me, if Vanguard's good anyway. Doesn't matter.
Okay. Yeah, none of this conjecture even mattered. Okay, great.
I was gonna say, to me, it sounds like a situation of if Vanguard was unable to come up because your rosters were already locked, it would have to be then treated like, the game in play already. Rosters are locked and a player leaves. That would count as a map FF. Don't have to worry about that, thankfully. But we are going to start loading up into Havana here now. Vanguard really wanted to make sure that he could win this map, so I think he went back and popped a couple Zins. He's locking in. Ottawa's going to be on the defense here. We're going to see what they want to roll out with in a second. I wonder... Adbon's on the Tracer, Shogun on the Ashe, and probably what you would expect coming out from the rest of Ottawa. Meanwhile, Liam playing on Lifeweaver, he's probably not going to actually stick that. Mountain on to Zarya, he probably is going to stick that. Kieran Pineapple on the Reaper Cassidy, and then JS on the Kiri.
I mean, imagine if Liam does stick the Lifeweaver.
I've seen him do it before, and he, does great things.
Yeah,
I don't think he's gonna do it. There it is.
He didn't stick it. But Ottawa are not going to spawn hold. They are instead going to play the longer sightline.
Yeah, they want to give their players a bit of a chance to have War close the distance on them, so they can continue to put in that poke pressure. Yeah, Adbon already looking in the back. Meanwhile, Kieran doing the same.
Kieran flanking, but was caught by Stitch and Shogun, forced out, and still near Ottawa. Kind of just being
Adbon's in the back. Suzu's already used to keep Wessler alive. Adbon's still in the cafe now, joining the fight. Mountain Pineapple on the cart. Meanwhile, Kieran gonna find Adbon. That's gonna be a big pickup for this Washington team as they continue to press W in the face of Ottawa.
That Czar just, it kind of goes through what Sigma does a lot of the time, and is placing pressure on the Ashe a little more than I think Shogun would want.
Adbon back, so it's going to be a late 5v5 on this point. Mountain trying to do as much frontal pressure as he can, but Adbon's going to find
and those are a lot of your heals just gone.
So far, it's a trade back and forth. It is now a 2v1 or 2v3, I should say. Liam's going to have to keep up the dream because I think this should be it for Washington's first team fight.
Yeah, and Liam gets staggered.
2.93 meters left. Very good first part of the attack. Adbon now switching over to the Soj. This is going to be scary for War. So far, TP's been used by JS. War seems to trying to be setting up for something.
War do have both support ults and are coming up on the Grav. Well, in return, Ottawa has 4 ults, so...
Kieran dropping low, gonna have to get some heals, but Kieran is playing the bodyguard role, finding Adbon wherever he is and taking him out. A grab and a rush is gonna find
no value. That Bob gets no value, and neither does the Flux, too.
I think they are swapping, because Vanguard would not do something like that unless he wants to swap off. This is probably going to be a mirror on the Zarya. Shogun might be swapping as well to maybe mirror the Cass. Yup, here we go. We're going to see the mirrors. They really only wanted to throw out those ults, maybe see if you can get something out of it. But now that they are looking to take out Adbon and Recon, there's Kieran. He's going to take a lot of damage. Sleep is out. But Vanguard is there, already supplying a bubble. Kieran gonna need a bubble and a Suzu, but it doesn't matter because Mountain's already down. There's Kieran as well. Ottawa starting to take back this defense. Liam just going to have to float away and hope to God nobody can kill him.
I don't think they're going to be able to catch him. However, I am wrong. I'm just wrong. Okay.
Liam wanted to try and take the ego and take out one of them. Unfortunately, 3 against 1, still not a fair fight.
I think he egoed a little too close to the sun.
Or Icarus Liam. Well, the rest of War is trying to at least put some pressure up. Vanguard taking
And Mountain
so
gets,
much charge from
and,
Kieran.
yeah. And Mountain kind of feeds.
War is now going to have to be on the back pedal as Vanguard's still getting more charge. A lot of volleys and a lot of Kieran shots. Kieran going in. The rest of the team not really ready. There's Suzu and Wraith out early. There's a lot of tools for War gone right now. Pineapple's going to shut down the overclock, though. And Shogun's going to shut down Liam. The rest of War going to have to back up as two of their members fall. Kieran should be able to make it out with the Wraith. And what started off as a great showing from War is now trickling over to a lost fight. Pineapple's going to get the healing he needs to stay in this. Kieran's going to go up. Suzu's out for Stitch. But it seems like they're going to get out safely. Adbon now locking the legs. I don't entirely know why, but probably just because he wanted to, and probably just because he can.
And yeah, Recon saw the Tsar moving up the spiral and said, hell no, I'm not dealing with that.
Mountain's taking so much pressure, gonna have to back off. Bubble already burned. Vanguard getting close to the grab, but Mountain not too far behind as they sit and try to poke each other out on this high ground. Flashbang out on Shogun, not gonna find much, but Adbon from across the way is gonna find Pineapple. Kieran gonna try and do something with this teleport Wraith. A grab from Vanguard is gonna seal this fight up in case there was any thought of War taking it back.
Yeah, and we're a minute away from the end of this map. Or end of this round.
This is a couple late additions to the kill feed for Ottawa as they're going to pick off Kieran and Liam kind of late there. Every ultimate is up for the side of Washington. The only thing you cannot do is throw like 3 of them on there. 2, not great, but fine. 1, perfect. None, even better.
I think you at least need to rush or grab this fight to win it. Just get past that choke, and yeah, and we are gonna see the grab. However, Shogun
just can find a Deadeye and a Nano, and the Trank is gonna try and come out, but unfortunately, it's not gonna say JS.
Anti.
Burst damage still goes through Trank.
I believe Swessler was also antied.
Adbon is taken out. This is going to be Liam finding 2. Both DPS are down for the side of Ottawa. However, Pineapple is going to go down on the side of War. Stitch still has this rush, which will be mirrored by JS. But Mountain is already taking a lot of damage and have to use a bubble early. Overtime has started. Kieran dropping low. The grab from Vanguard is out.
There's the rush.
Rushes don't matter when you've got a grab that catches 2. Here comes a Deadeye that's going to find nothing. And no Death Blossom out for Kieran. War are going to stop just shy of point B.
That's a good push as well. First point, not the hardest to defend. A lot of good corners. If you can spawn hold, even better. You want at least a minute if you're War here for a spawn hold. If they go to a spawn hold, which I believe they will. Mountain has always preferred going to a spawn hold.
I think that at this point in the game, you want to try and get something that sticks. I think that's not a bad idea. Your issue is you need to ensure that Ottawa does not figure it out. If they can sniff it out immediately, the whole point of this close spawn is first, the element of surprise. Second, you want to hunker down, which it does appear what they're doing. You want to hunker down and just shave off as much time as possible. If Ottawa know what you're going to do ahead of time, your element of surprise is gone. They can figure out what angles they need to in order to rotate you around. And now this close range brawl comp that they have will mean nothing. They have the Mercy out. They have an Adbon on Ash. I think I know what it's time for.
Yeah, I think it's in the cards, and I don't think the cards are being exactly subtle here. And Stitch sees the spawn hold incoming. Probably telling Ottawa to either come out the top and the left door.
There's going to be a Bastion from Shogun. Oh, God.
Oh, no. And this spawn hold, it's holding nobody.
Wall is going to be a little too far forward. Actually, it
But
might
Vanguard
still get
gets
Vanguard.
caught.
They're going to get Vanguard anyway. The wall, initially a little too far forward, is going to manage to get one. And now, War are going to be able to have a decent hold. The only issue is Adbon swapped over to the Pharah and is getting pocketed by Stitch. They have a great angle. Vanguard's going to roll over to the Ram, and this should be the end of this close hold.
Yeah. I mean,
Vanguard
you
dropped
got
low still.
45 seconds off the clock.
They are still
Preferably-
fighting. A lamp is out. They might be able to
Preferably-
hold this a little bit longer.
Yeah, preferably want to hold this for a minute.
Ooh.
However,
The cancel.
Adbon.
Oh, but they're still going to find Shogun anyway. Mountain pins onto the Bastion, but ends up canceling it. Goes down for it, but the rest of War are able to trade out. Adbon with the Mercy Pocket, able to find one. Can he find more? Might not matter because the rest of his team is coming back. So now the call is just to die on the point. There is no escaping for War. You're going to find one.
Lesnar gets picked with ult as well. Well,
You're gonna try
Ottawa
and
is
back up.
climbing
I
up
don't
to
think he's
4
gonna make
ults.
it. Yep.
Yeah, and that is the end of War's close hold. They bought a minute and 30 seconds off the clock. A very good time for
And
a spawn
they
hold.
have a couple ultimates to counteract what Ottawa has built up. Shatter, unfortunately, being the one that I think you would like the most here, and it being the
Yeah.
farthest away.
Oh yeah, but Sun. Oh, and we're nanoing
The Nano
Mercy.
Mercy, I think it was supposed to go to Adbon, but he died too
Yeah.
soon. Or the
And
Sun
the
is in the
Sun.
back. It's gonna find Recon, but it's not gonna matter.
And we're gonna get
There's
the res
two
off.
down. Oh, Adbon popping the ult. I think he wants to switch.
I think switching into Bapalari off Pharah, I think that's a smart choice, but we are not going to see a switch off Pharah.
Adbon is skilled enough to keep this going. So far, he has been doing pretty okay, and I think it's all because Stitch has the pocket. Here's a window, a great window. Almost
he was
burns down
strong.
Vanguard immediately, and it's going to force out Valk. Valk, you know, not one of the strongest ults out there, but it's still going to get something. It's going to buy time. Now you have a minute 15 left on this clock. Mountain just walking forward, looking to find a shatter.
And that's a
He's
huge
gonna
shatter.
Find one.
That's just bitch.
But the
But Vanguard
Blizzard,
dies.
a
Mountain
tank
gets
trade
traded
out, a
in the
pulse
spot.
out. There's going to be ultimates used. The shatter really whiffed. It only found one, and the Blizzard had to come in to clean it up. Unfortunately, not what Mountain was looking for, but the rest of War was there to help. Now there's just an overclock into a annihilation. This could be a little dangerous. Shogun swapping over to the Cassidy from the Tracer.
Yeah. I do think that Barrage here is very strong. If you don't die during the Barrage, which, or you don't die
No
prior.
barrage anyway. We're going to see his son. So far, it's going to be trades. War is still up. War is taking the better of this. With only 20 seconds left, this might be War taking a map off of Ottawa. 15 seconds, a barrage is going to go and just kill himself. That's tragic. Now Stitch is stuck up on the high ground. I think she's going to be taken out. There's going to be a Maga out from Vanguard for a last second touch. He's on. He's got sustain. He's got a Mercy Pocket. How much damage can he do before he goes down? He's gonna find one. He's gonna be taken out, but now Ottawa still has players in this game. Ults are online. Window looking to take out this Tracer. A Nano even.
Let's get
Sending in.
canceled.
No res, but there is going to be the Window. Oh no! One Electric Cowboy versus the entirety of Washington, and the Electric Cowboy is winning. With only meters to go, Kieran is going to look to maybe stop the point. I don't think you do this. I think you just back up and take the extended fight. They're
Yeah,
still
they aren't
pushing
gonna
in.
touch.
They need to back up. You still have 2.5 minutes. That's fine. But an amazing Nano coming out from Recon and amazing shots coming out from Shogun. Now, with Vanguard on this Maga, Adbon on the Reaper, they're going to look to play this extremely close, and that's a way better shatter than last time. He's going to find two, but it doesn't matter because
huge
that's
ante, though.
ante. Adbon cleaning up 3. Vanguard wants one, and JS is not long for this world. Ottawa blasting on all cylinders right now.
I mean, it looked a little dangerous if you were Ottawa there for like 4 minutes, but you just locked in.
When the going gets tough, they have players who have been in these situations before. They know what to do and they know what to expect. They're looking to catch out Adbon, who is going to TP out and get the support from his team. Shogun looking low. They're looking to dive in on him, but he's going to stay up. A wall is going to separate 3 members. We're going to see another Electric Cowboy. We're going to see Liam falling low. The Blizzard's out. Pineapple's down. Dede's going to find...
Blizzard.
The Electric Cowboy has done what he needs to do, and it seems like War will not be getting back-to-back Grand Champions, but instead, Ottawa will be meeting Havana in the finale. Ottawa wins 3-0.
Wow, that War had a very good showing, though. I think the scoreline does not do how close these maps were justice.
A very close map 3, a very close map 1. Map 2, I think maybe got away from you. I think that would be the only one, but even then it was still relatively close. And now we will see an Ottawa Havana finals as War is eliminated from playoffs.
Yeah, and stay tuned for that, because that match, it's gonna be so insane. Havana had a very... Havana looks very scary, especially in the latter half of that season. And Ottawa, the fan favorite to win, undefeated as far as I'm aware, only lost 1 map, and I believe it was to Dallas.
I think so. This is Ottawa's game and season to win. However, that is going to determine our final 4 teams. Down in Emerald, our grand finalists will be New York and Vancouver. And up here in Ruby, it is going to be Ottawa and Havana. We have got some finals coming up, but that should be the end of us here tonight. Any final words before next week kicks off?
I hope you guys enjoy the finals games. They will be very exciting. And yeah, we'll wait and see what we have in store.
That sounds like it'll be absolute bangers of matches. Hopefully we get a 7 map at minimum, but that will be the end of it for us today. Please come stick around this week. Thank you all for watching. Signing off.
Bye. Have a good night, everyone.